Apparently, they're not gonna update Peter Rabbit's box office probably for a while, so we're just gonna talk about the box office, anyways. And this is a pretty interesting week. We have 9 movies that made over $1 million this weekend, and we're gonna talk about all of them, including the indie movie Roadrunner, a film about something. Being that's why I'm, and yeah, I'm gonna talk about every movie and see if the movies are doing well or not. Not. That is the most important question, of course. But it seems that the movies are starting to recover better than they were 8 weeks ago. And you have movies like In the Heights that's completely bombing at the box office. This, at least every movie is now not going to be a box office failure. But the first one, Space Jam: A New Legacy, you know, made fit. Has it predicted this movie's not going to do well internationally? See, this movie is going to be a flop regardless, as the nostalgia fans, nostalgia might say this movie, but this movie has a huge, massive budget. I think it's $160 million budget. This movie is currently, I think, at $150 million loss at this moment. But again, nostalgia might save this movie. I'm not gonna write off this movie. That's why I haven't written off Boss Baby yet, because the Boss Baby has not released in any other international markets. It is releasing in Mexico and South Korea next week, which is its next international releases. But Space Jam: A New Legacy made $54 million, and most people are saying, "Oh, they're streaming instead," because of course, many YouTubers are promoting garbage streaming services because most of them have basically been rolled to worshiping, the streaming giants. But yep, Space Jam is likely going to be a flop because it's just such a bad movie. Space Jam: A New Legacy Korea has a 4.2 on IMDb. Man, that's bad. That's horrendous to say there. Horrendous. 4.2 on IMDb. 4.2 on IMDb. Okay. And according to, they were expecting this movie to become the big classic of the year, like the first movie. But, oh my god, this movie is just absolute. I think this movie's going to have just as big a drop as Black Widow. And not many people really hated Black Widow as much as Space Jam: A New Legacy. But of course, the Phantom Menace is the only ones defending Space Jam: A New Legacy. Ironic as it is they hate LeBron James, but they're defending Space Jam: A New Legacy. Which just absolutely proves that they're a bunch of hypocrites. But yeah, Space Jam: A New Legacy is projected to flop, I think. We'll, of course, give it a chance at the international box office. I think of it, Hitman's Vice Bodyguard. God was also doesn't have a box office update either. Oh, it does have a box office update now. It's at 7 here. 775,000 here. But Black Widow, we already made a whole video about Black Widow. So let's watch that instead. It has 320 million, not 350 million. 320 million worldwide, including the Disney Plus sales, of course. Which the movie needs to make around the cost $300 million. Cost it needs to make like $400 million to break back its money. Where and with Disney Plus sales, it should make back its money. So there. So yeah, next is Escape Room, Tournament of Champions. Again, it's another boring horror sequel that no one wants to see, and this movie might flop, which is no surprise at all. The movie has a $50 million budget. So, and yeah, at least it has good reviews on what it gets, but it needs to make $40 million to break even. I think it should be able to do that. $40 million break even. I think it should be able to make $40 million domestically. So, next is F9, The Fast Saga. This movie, I think, is the worst this movie is performing. Black Widow and this movie are performing very similar at the box office. It's almost eerily similar. Well, in this movie, I think Black Widow is going to gross $10 million above F9, The Fast Saga's final performance. And this movie made 7.26 million. Because you will think about Black Widow dropped like the same percentage as F9. Again, it's funny thing that the Phantom Menace also defended F9 and said it was a masterpiece, basically. But nobody cares about this movie. As much as Black Widow, look at the IMDb scores. That has a higher score than both Space Jam and F9. It's funny how they love movies that are considered worse than Black Widow. by IMDb. If you look at IMDb, Tomorrow War has a lower score. I believe on IMDb has like 6.5 or something. I believe that Space Jam, of course, we already know. Space Jam has a 4.2. F9, which again, it is from review bombing. It is mostly from review bombing from the whole China thing here. But F9 for 3K reviews, 5.5 out of 10. We can look at Tomorrow War doesn't have a theoretical release, but for F9 will probably pass 600 million worldwide. But again, this movie was not as successful as we think, said the fandom is. That's what they said. Boss Baby for Family Business, 47 million. Again, 2.9 million is very impressive when you only talking about 4 markets: Bulgaria, Ukraine, Lebanon, and UAE. That's pretty impressive for those 4 markets. Okay, that's 4 markets. Basically, as we said, Mexico and South Korea, like 2 other markets, and then the Netherlands next weekend, which are the big changes for the Boss Baby. Next is the Forever Purge. This movie makes money. It did. This movie has finally entered profitability. He made money for 86 million. It has made 48 million. So therefore, the Forever Purge has made money, basically. Forever Purge has made money, which means we'll probably get a new Purge, because that's what the Forever Purge really means. We'll probably get Purge movies forever. A Quiet Place Part 2, again, this movie is super leggy. Super leggy, and made $260 million at the internet worldwide. The problem with horror movies, I think, is they just don't make money internationally. They just don't make money. Domestically, they have the domestic market. There are those well horror movies that do well internationally, like the It movies. But Quiet Place Part 2 is just more example of horror movies that don't do well internationally. They just don't. Escape Room is not doing too well internationally. Spiral bombed internationally. Roadrunner, a film about bordering, made 1.9 million. Don't know the budget for this movie. Well, the only day we talk about it anyways. So here, and Cruella, for some reason, still on this list. Seems that this movie, I had it on my flop list. I took it off because the movie still could be a flop if the budget is 200 million, but we do not know the real budget for Cruella. The movie made $224 million worldwide here. And yeah, it made $224 million worldwide. And that's it. It seems despite the fandom menace hating Cruella, the movie still had massive legs, mostly from Disney fanboys, but then we have the Hitman's Wives, and we have the Conjuring now here too. Conjuring's now in. So Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard made $60 million. Again, this movie isn't really doing too well at the box office. $70 million budget, that's essentially just a flop right there. $70 million budget, that's what they say here. Some say $60 million budget, but again, movies are getting more and more expensive, but they're not making back the money. And also they released this against F9, which was a horrendous idea. I think this is In the Heights sort of swapped release dates. Because also it sort of released this after the Suicide Squad at the very least. So it could make money at the box office. But it didn't really make money at the box office. We also have Spirit Untamed, which is not going to talk about. It's not really worth talking about Spirit Untamed. Conjuring as well. Again, this movie is not really making money anymore. Same thing with Peter Rabbit, not really making money anymore. Peter Rabbit, I think, is between both of these movies here. But all 3 movies here. Peter Rabbit, Peter Rabbit did make money, though. But it seems that, movies are back to making money. Space Jam, New Legacy, we'll really see how that movie legs out at the box office, considering the massive negative reception this movie has, and the fact that people just hate LeBron James as a whole is one thing to note too. And this is comparison with the first movie at the box office. The movie would definitely outgross the first movie domestically. But the first movie opened to, I believe, the same amount, so yeah. But I think the only real comparison, another good comparison I can put it to is Godzilla vs. Kong. and Cruella. We're really starting to do box office comparisons. We're not going to compare pre-pandemic movies. I think it's kind of an unfair comparison. So Godzilla vs. Kong and Cruella are the two closest openings. We could also put A Quiet Place 2 as well. No, not keep quiet. No. Yep, we have Quiet Place Part 2. We have Godzilla vs. Kong. I think Godzilla vs. Kong is done in the theaters. It has made its money, though. $100 million and made $459 million here. No worldwide. Space Jam: A New Legacy, though. It is doing better than Godzilla vs. Kong. It will likely outsell. It is doing better in this comparison to Godzilla vs. Kong. It's doing better than Cruella. So definitely it's going to make more money than Cruella. But Godzilla vs. Kong did release on a holiday weekend. Yeah. But Godzilla vs. Kong did get a release date, but it is beating Godzilla vs. Kong domestically. Still. Yeah. And yeah, we have Cruella. We have A Quiet Place Part 2. I'm not going to put in Black Widow because Black Widow would probably destroy Space Jam in its first weekend, but, considering that movie made $80 million, and Space Jam's going to probably barely gross to around $100 million at the box office, at most. And, yeah, Cruella, despite, quote-unquote, underperforming, $83 million, it still made $83 million at the domestic box office here. And yeah, I'm not really going to compare Space Jam: A New Legacy to Dark Phoenix. Okay, Dark Phoenix. The movies made some amount of money first weekend. But Dark Phoenix was pre-pandemic. But again, it was bomb similar to Dark Phoenix. But again, if you really think about it, there's not really any other family movies coming out because Hotel Transylvania was delayed. They also started updating the, of course, Blu-ray charts again. Greenland made 156,000 copies. We are still catching up, though. But it's good that they're still updating these Blu-ray sales as well. And yeah, Lord of the Rings Motion Picture Trilogy, The Office Complete Series. Here. Here we have the top selling movies of the year. Greenland's already at number 10 to Meg, for it's one of the best selling movies of the year. But yeah, the Emoji Movie is still one of the best selling movies of the year, but that's only 2 months of sales. 1 month of sales, basically. And now they're finally updating the box office. So that's basically it. Goodbye.